I tried to take it easy on y'all today because in my notes, I was telling Rib this earlier. I have like several places where I was like, the book of Ezra, whole chapter. First Ezra, whole chapter. Second Ezra, whole chapter. First Corinthians, whole chapter. And it's good, you know, so I'm gonna suggest you still read through that stuff. But for something like this, when we're trying to, you know, have some interaction and keep people's attention, and, you know, I don't know who all already ate lunch. I don't want you going to sleep on me. So this is also why I have Rib read, because I'm what's the word? Monotonous.
Monotony, ain't that like one marriage?
That's monogamy.
Oh.
Progress you can't impede it, returning to what's sacred. Bowing to the creator, not bowing to the created. Now I can stand bolder, my heart and mind are sober. Looking to see a sign, my staff turned to a cobra. With magic they did the same, refused to fear his name. Hearts remain hard till their firstborns were slain. The knowledge you have is vain. Chakras and kundalinis, Kabbalah, tree of life, witchcraft and genies, mystery school teaching. Of course it gotta be right, you know it all. How to gain eternal life. Were you there when he made the earth? When he formed man's bones, only used the dirt. Were you there when he made the planets? Please tell me how he did it if you understand it. Were you there when he made the heavens? And all their array rested on the seventh. All you have is speculation and theories. Gave us basic commands, we comprehend them clearly. What's the purpose of living? What's the purpose of dying? Who do you believe when everybody is lying? How do you wait fire? Count the sands of the seas. Tell me how many stars throughout the galaxy. Some things only God knows. If questions linger in your mind till your eyes close. But here's something you can understand. Fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man. While you still have a chance, fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man. While you still have a chance, fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man.
Shalom, Koti. Can y'all give us a 7 if you can hear us okay? Toda says, yes, we are recording. I appreciate the reminder. Now, we may eventually switch over to StreamYard. I tried that a couple of times. And I think it worked out okay. Rib said she liked it too. She suggested we switch from Zoom to StreamYard. So we may switch over. Rib, can we get a sound check for you two real quick?
Shalom, family.
Can we get a 7 if y'all can hear Rib? One more time, Rib.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Y'all hear Rib okay?
Shabbat shalom.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. Good deal. All right. I beat you to it. Yeah, that's this act that I've been listening to recently, man. I like his stuff. Call himself Paisley the Hebrew. I dig it.
Yeah, I got a few of his songs on my YouTube playlist.
Okay, that's what's
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
We just go whatever we feeling that day, in all honesty. I love it because it gives us Shabbat Shalom, Aki. It gives us something to listen to so I can try to guard my gates. Like we were talking about last night, you know. I'm definitely an 80s baby. I definitely came up in Rib 2 of what they refer to as the golden era of hip hop. And I find that, you know, it's still called to me. So I like hip hop. I like rap. So when these brothers doing what they doing, when they're good at it, I'm like, yeah, I need that. Similar to you, Coaties, and y'all reading of the romances and stuff like that, you know. Gotta have them females coming out there with that fire reading material. Y'all can guard y'all gates too. Get your fix in, but still be something set apart, still being edified. You know, we need all that. Dang, sis, I like Hiskia too. Dang, we talking about this Hiskia that does, what's the one we like, real? The one with the what you call it, with the head covering on. I forget. All right, let me see who we got in here. Quite a few people. Shabbat Shalom. House of Dawid, Shabbat Shalom. House of Latasha, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom again. Ad Daquan, Koti Keisha, Shabbat Shalom. Koti Christine, Shabbat Shalom. Koti Tahisha, Shabbat Shalom. Koti Leslie, Shabbat Shalom. Koti Kimmy, Shabbat Shalom again. Guess we might be able to go ahead and get this thing rolling, huh? All right, family. So, I want to welcome you guys to another installment of our priesthood study. I think this is part 18 in a unnumbered count. We don't do how many parts it takes to get it done. So for anybody who needs to know in advance, we're pretty much just going to be sticking to the standard 66 for today. So you don't have to worry about flipping back and forth to too many different books. I tried to take it easy on y'all today because in my notes, I was telling Rib this earlier, I have like several places where I was like, the book of Ezra, whole chapter. First Ezra, whole chapter. Second Ezra, whole chapter. First Corinthians, whole chapter. And it's good, you know, so I'm gonna suggest you still read through that stuff. But for something like this, when we're trying to, you know, have some interaction and keep people's attention, and, you know, I don't know who all already ate lunch. I don't want you going to sleep on me, so. This is also why I have rib read, because I'm what's the word? Monotonous.
Monotony, ain't that like one marriage?
That's monogamy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm monotonous. So I've been told. I had a partner of mine tell me yesterday, you know, you at a 6.
Yeah.
You pretty much stay at a 6.
Yeah.
No matter what's going on.
No matter what's going on.
Explosions, fire,
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
good things going on, bad
Yeah.
things. You pretty much at a 6. That was Lester.
Congratulations.
No, wait. So that was Lester. I said, Lester, you right. I said, no, he's not. He never claimed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, I'm gonna have to let my wife tell you though, because I have it's a strategic ignorance, I guess. I don't know, but I just feel like if I'm at a 6 and you get me to 10, you deserve whatever come after
I'm
that.
telling you.
Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, Koti Gilead. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah, that's why I let Rhea read. That and it preserves my voice. Speaking voice. So I don't go hoarse on y'all. You all right? Okay. All right, family. And so we were talking about the division of the priesthood last week. We were talking about the two priests that stood by Dawid in his time of need at one point, but then give me a second here. Yes. So we're talking about Abaithar, and we left off saying that this week we're going to look at Zadok and Abaithar and how one of them, Abaithar, sides with one of Dawid's sons. And so this division that was prophesied about after Eli's sons and Eli did what they did is then manifested after Dawid passes the torch to Shlomo. And so we're going to be picking up today with Seeking the Priesthood, part 18. And we're going to be picking up in 1 Chronicles chapter 23, starting at verses 1 through 6. Hold on, before we start, let me get House of Shlomo situated. I don't know what's going on back here. Some funny business going on. All right, 1 Chronicles. And let me share my screen with you guys. Uh, 23, I apologize.
6:23.
No, chapter 23. We're going 1 through 6. 1 through 6. 1 Chronicles 3. 1 through 6. Go ahead. All right.
And Dawid was old and satisfied with days, and made his son Shlomo to reign over Israel.
Mhm.
And he gathered all the rulers of Israel with the priests and the Levites. And the Levites were numbered from the age of 30 years and above. And their number head by head was 38,000 males.
Mhm.
Of these, 24,000 were to oversee the work of the house of Yahuah, and 6,000 were officers and judges, and 4,000 were gatekeepers, and 4,000 to give praise to Yahuah, which I made for giving praise.
Mhm.
And Dawid divided them into divisions of the sons of Levi, of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari.
Pause for a second. Hallelujah. So I was saying last week that I like that in one of the translations I read, it says something about the administration of Dawid. Now, Dawid was a king, right? We understand that this was an aristocracy. It was not a democracy. But the way Dawid ran this thing, Yah said Dawid was a man after his own heart. So it was okay that it was not a democracy, okay? And in his administration, one of the things that he did that Yah deemed to be righteous was to order the priests. And he divided them between the sons of Levi, which were Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Look back at the chart that we did together, and you can see that Kohath is the son of Levi, who Aaron comes through, and Moshe, right? But all of these sons still had duties pertaining to the priesthood, right? Let's go to 1 Chronicles 23, verse 24. So same chapter, same book and chapter. Skip down to 24. We're going to read 24 through 32. First Chronicles 23, 24 through 32. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. These were the sons of Levi by their fathers' houses, the heads of their fathers' houses, as they were counted head by the number of their names, who did the work for the service of the house of Yahuah from the age of 20 years and above.
Mhm.
For Dawid said, Yahuah Elohim of Israel has given rest to his people, and he dwells in Jerusalem forever.
Hallelujah.
And also of the Levites, they shall no longer bear the dwelling place or any of the vessels for its service.
It's not saying that they're not going to do the work. It's saying that the time for packing it up, carrying it, unpacking it, setting it up, breaking it down, carrying it, unpacking it, setting it up, that time is over with. Yah has allowed us to come into the land that he promised us. He told me to reign over this. I've cleared out those who need to be cleared out so we can dwell in safety. And now we're going to build this temple and we're going to set these priests up so they can just dwell in one place. I'm putting all of the pieces in position so that when I hand this thing over to my son, everything is laid out. All you got to do is follow the blueprint, is what he's saying. Okay.
For by the last words of Dawid, the Levites were numbered from 20 years old and above.
Okay.
Because their duty was to help the sons of Aharon in the service of the house of Yahuah, in the courtyards and in the rooms, in the cleansing of all that was set apart, and the work of the service of the house of Elohim.
Get some young backs in there to do that. So he said 30 years and above for some of the other stuff. But then he came back and said, we're going to do 20 years and above. Gonna be a little back-breaking work, but they can handle it. Go ahead.
Both with the showbread and the fine flour for the grain offering, and with unleavened cakes, what is baked on the griddle, and with what is mixed, and with all kinds of measures and sizes. And to say it every morning to thank and praise Yahuah, and so at evening. And
So when did they pray? Just real quick side note.
at evening.
And in the morning.
And in the morning.
So in the morning, there was a prayer that included the priests, and in the evening there was a prayer that included the priests. So at least twice a day, everybody was hitting their knees or faces to the ground or completely prostrate and giving alms, giving praise, and giving thanks to Abaithar. We should be doing the same. Go ahead.
And for all the ascending offerings to Yahuah, on the Sabbath and on the new moons and on the appointed times, by number according to the right ruling upon them continually before Yahuah. And that they should guard the duty of the tent of appointment, the duty of the set apart place, and the duty of the sons of Aharon, their brothers, in the service of the house of Yahuah.
Hallelujah. So let's look a little bit closer at the organization of these priests. Let's go to First Chronicles 24. We're going to go 1 through 18. First Chronicles chapter 24, verses 1 through 18. Whenever you're ready.
And the division of the sons of Aharon were Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father and had no children. So Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests. So Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests.
Okay.
And Dawid with Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and Ahimelech of the sons of Ithamar divided them according to their offices in their service.
Those are those two lineages we talked about, okay?
And there were more leaders found of the sons of Eleazar than of the sons of Ithamar. So they divided the sons of Eleazar into 16 heads of their fathers' houses, and the sons of Ithamar into 8 heads of their fathers' houses.
Okay, so when it says that there were more leaders found of the sons of Eleazar than of the sons of Ithamar, it means there was more families. There was more families, there was more households, and therefore more heads of households. It's no coincidence, I believe, in my opinion, that the household that had more leaders was the household that Yahuah was favoring. the household that was procreating and producing more leaders was the household of Yahweh's favor.
Was Ithamar the line they say that one thing when no old man will be found among them?
That's who Eli comes through. Yeah, Eli comes through that same lineage. Okay. And so Eleazar, when it says, and this was something me and Indigo were reading through this meticulously when I was first putting these notes together. And I kept coming across these heads and these courses, those two terms. And I'm like, what are they saying? What's going on here? What's being said here when it says into 16 heads and 8 heads is these are simply heads of household. And for this household, Dawid said, I got 16 households among Eleazar. These heads are the ones who are representative of those households. And for the sons of Ithamar, these 8 heads of households are the representatives for that household. And so you got 16 households and 8 households, 16 and 8 heads, that's 24 heads that he divided them into. Now you got, when he puts them into the temple, 24 households that can rotate in monthly to do the service of the temple. All you're required to do is a month's service in that temple, you and your household, in 2 years. It's not too much. Now, it may be hard work, but you go in there for a month, you do the work, and you rotate out and somebody else rotate in. And then when it's your course, because Dawid in scriptures it calls it course, during the next course they rotate in, and your next course you rotate in. So simple as that. Verse 5.
And they were divided by lot, one group as another. For there were officials of the set apart place, and officials of Elohim from the sons of Eleazar and from the sons of Ithamar.
Okay.
And the scribe Shemaiah, son of Nathaniel, one of the Levites, wrote them down before the sovereign and the rulers, and Zadok the priest, and Ahimelech, son of
Abaithar.
and the heads of the fathers' houses of the priests and Levites, one father's house taken from Eleazar and one from Ithamar. And the first lot came forth to Uriah, the second to Yedaiah, the third to Haram, the fourth to Seorim, the fifth to Malchiah, the sixth to Maimim, the seventh to Hakutz, the eighth to Abiyah.
Let's pause with Abiyah.
Abiyah.
I've heard it pronounced several ways. Abiyah, Abiyah. And the other one, you know that's Yediah. Verse 7. Yeah, you right. Jediah. Yeah, that's what that is. So some people still use the J. In the scriptures translation, it uses the Yah sound. And so Abiyah. Let's look at Luke 1 and 5 real quick. Let's see who this Abiyah or Abiyah is, or who his descendants are, to be more specific. Luke chapter 1, verse 5. And it reads, there was in the days of Herod, the Edomite, sovereign of Yehudah, Edomite sovereign of Yehudah, a certain priest named Zechariah of the division of Abiyah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aharon, and her name was Elisheba. Now I ask you, whose parents were these?
John the Mercer.
John the Mercer, John the Baptist, Yachanan the Mercer. So this is your direct line to show Yachanan, Abiyah. Yachanan was the high priest, indeed. Yachanan was indeed of the lineage of Zadok. Picking up verse 11. Yes, 1 Chronicles 24, picking up in verse 11 through 18.
The ninth is Yeshu. The 10th, Shechaniah.
So that's actually Yahusha. Yep.
The 10th, Shechaniah, who the 11th, Elishibab, the
Yeah.
12th to Yakin, the 13th Hupa, the 14th Yeshibab, the 15th is Bilhah, the 16th Emer, the 17th Hezer, the 18th Hapaset, the 19th to Pathaya, the 20th to Yazikul, and the 21st to Yakin, the 22nd to Gamul, the 23rd to Layu, the 24th to MasYahch. Oh goodness.
Hey y'all, hallelujah. Let's give a hand to Red for going through those names. AdoniYah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I always tell, the children when they're reading through those, just pronounce them as best you can. Okay, so let's go to 1 Kings chapter 1. 1 Kings chapter 1, we're going to read 1 through 8. And there is not a name listed there. Take a break from the names. 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 1 through 8. David's time. David went through a lot. So we're tracking the priesthood. We're not really tracking the kings. So I kind of feel like I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. But y'all know, David went through a lot, man. David went through a lot with his sons. David was told that, he was not to cease to have a son sit on the throne among Israel, but his sons had to do what was right. And, we know how that went. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but yeah. Let's see what happens here. David's getting old. Go ahead.
And sovereign Dawid was old, advanced in years, and they covered him with garments, but he could not get warm. So his servant said to him, let them seek for our masters, the sovereign, a young woman, a maiden, and she shall stand before the sovereign and be his companion, and shall lie in your bosom, so that our master, the sovereign, gets warm. Oh, that was Dawid, all the way up to the, anyway.
So, but no, let's clarify though. So they weren't looking for a woman for him to have more children with. David had a lot of children already. He was older in age. He was getting to the point where David's life was coming to a close, but he still wanted to be comforted, and he wanted to be comforted by a young woman.
What's up, lay his head on.
Yeah, and so we're not talking about young as inappropriate, but it just is what it is, fam. I don't really have an excuse for you, but it is what it is. But this was at this point, if that's what she was coming to do, was to be a comforter for him in his old age, she was also still then like one of his wives.
Yeah.
And that's important to understand.
Yeah.
Even though they were not being physically intimate with each other, she was still going to be looked at as one of his wives.
Okay.
Right? Very important to keep that in mind. Go ahead.
And they sought for a beautiful young woman in all the border of Israel, and found Abishag the Shumite, and brought her to the sovereign. And the young woman was very beautiful, and she was a companion for the sovereign and served him. But the sovereign did not know her.
So he did not know her intimately, is what that's saying. She was with him to comfort him. They were not intimate, but she was still under his covering. Okay, go ahead.
And AdoniYah, son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I reign. And he prepared for himself a chariot and horsemen and 50 men to run before him.
So for anyone who doesn't know, AdoniYah is not only the son of Haggith, she's also the son of Dawid. He is also the son of Dawid. So this is one of David's sons that's saying, I see my father getting old in age. I see him dwindling. I see the twilight gradually being removed from his eye. Let me jump in here on this throne while I have an opportunity. Like, what's that movie that you like? Pitch Black.
No,
No, other one. Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
He tried to jump in there
Yeah.
at the right time. He missed. But go ahead.
And now his father had not worried him at any time by saying, "Why have you done so?"
Mhm.
He was also very good looking, and he was born after Absalom.
So Absalom is his older brother.
And he talked with Joab, son of Zuriah, and with Abaithar, the priest, and they supported AdoniYah.
So Joab, who was Dawid's nephew, who used to ride out with Dawid, and Abaithar have now sided with AdoniYah because they feel like AdoniYah is next in line and has the power to take over this kingdom. So they have aligned themselves. Listen, y'all, it's a lot of politics going on here. It's a lot of drama going on here, right? They have aligned themselves with who they believe is going to be able to run this thing, and by that rationale, who they believe can overcome any wars that may arise in Dawid's death. In other words, they think that AdoniYah can beat his brothers for this position. Let's see how that works out. Okay.
But Zadok, the priest, and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet. Y'all know who Benaiah is.
You know who Benaiah
Man,
is.
you know who Benaiah
You want to fill him in?
Benaiah is Dawid's killer. That's his goon. You know, they say Benaiah, man.
That was one of his right hands.
Benaiah was no joke. He was dead.
But Benaiah would have been at the head of a lot of
Yeah.
the military specialists,
Campaign.
specialty work that Dawid had people go out to do.
General.
Yeah, so we're not talking about when the whole army went to go deal with stuff, but when Dawid had special things to be done, there was a specialized force, an elite regiment that went out to handle certain things. Benaiah was at the head of that. Yes.
So Zadok the priest and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shemu and Ray, and the mighty men who belonged to Dawid were not with AdoniYah.
So all of these understood they're not taking sides against Dawid, right? 1 Kings 2, verse 1.
Okay.
Just go ahead and start. I don't know how much is for the free. Don't tense up.
I ain't scared.
All right, 1 Kings chapter 2.
Okay. And the days of Dawid drew near to die, and he commanded Shlomo his son, saying, "I am going the way of all the earth, and you shall be strong and be a man. And guard the charge of Yahuah your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to guard his laws, his commands, his right rulings, and his witness, as it is written in the Torah of Moses, so that you do wisely all that you do, and wherever you turn. So that Yahuah does establish his word, which he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons guard their way, to walk before me in truth, with all their heart and with all their being, saying, there is not to seat a man of yours on the throne of Israel."
There you go. So now he's giving his son the perfect counsel, the most wise counsel. All you have to do is keep Torah, follow Yah's law, statutes, and commandments, and exactly what he's promised will be given to you and to those who come behind you.
And also, you know that Joab, son of Zuriah.
You know what?
Oh, my bad. And also, you know what Joab, son of Zuriah, did to me, and what he did to two commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner, son of Ner, and Amasa, son of Yether, that he killed them and shed the blood of battle in Shalom, and put the blood of battle on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were on his feet.
We were supposed to be at peace. I had given the order for there to be peace, and he came during the time of peace and did something that I didn't tell him it was okay to do. You remember that, right? What he telling his son on his deathbed. Go ahead.
So,
excuse me 1 second.
Okay.
I need you to have a seat with your scriptures. Thank you, sir. I apologize, y'all. Go ahead.
So act according to your wisdom,
Mhm.
and do not let his gray hair go down to Sheol in peace.
Oh,
Dang.
you understand what that means? Does that need
Man.
explanation?
Yeah, I'm not telling you what to do, son,
Yeah,
but what
you
I'm
know.
telling you, make it happen.
Yeah.
But show loving commitment to the sons of Barzillai,
Uh,
the Gileadite, and let them be among those who eat at your table.
mhm.
So they came to me when I fled from Absalom, your brother. And see, with you is Shemu, son of Gera, the Benjamite from Bahurim, who cursed me with a grievous cursing in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at the Yarden, and I swore to him by Yahuah, saying, I shall not put you to death with the sword.
Right.
And now, do not leave him unpunished, for you are a wise man, and know what you should do to him, and shall bring his gray hair down to Sheol with blood.
So here we go again. Like Dawid made these agreements with people because of all of the turmoil he was in. He may have been running from here to there. Someone did kindness to him at one point, but ultimately Dawid didn't forget their transgressions against him or his people. And so he's telling Shlomo, he's telling his son, look, I made an agreement with him. I made an agreement with him that I wouldn't do anything to him while I'm alive. But I didn't make any agreement with him about you. And let's not forget what he did, and that what he did deserves death as punishment.
Hitless.
This is the hitless. This is Dawid on his deathbed telling Shlomo, we got a few accounts that are still open,
Man.
that need to be closed,
Man.
so that you can reign in peace.
Yeah.
If you don't close these accounts, you're gonna have a problem.
Yep.
Son, as we tell him, he say, I don't need to spell it out for you. You know what to do.
You're a wise man.
You're a wise man. You know what to do. This is why y'all said you coming next.
Right.
And I see it. Parents know their children. You know who got good sense.
Yeah.
You know who need a little help.
Yeah.
You know, and of his children, he said, yeah, I see why y'all chose him.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad he didn't do everything he was supposed to do, but this part he took care of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's read it.
And now, okay, and Dawid slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of Dawid.
Okay.
And the days that Dawid reigned over Israel was 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
He reigned 7 years in Hebron, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Shlomo sat on the throne of his father Dawid, and his reign was firmly established.
Now I know Rib said, "Oh, we're gonna read through the whole chapter on this detail." You can't. If we skip through this stuff, it's just not the same.
I agree.
I skipped through a lot of stuff to
Mhm.
pull what I felt like was necessary, but there's a couple of chapters I said we just gotta read this chapter.
You got to.
This is one of them. Okay.
And AdoniYah, son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Shlomo, and said, do you come in shalom?
Mm.
And he said, shalom. And he said, I have a word for you. And she said, speak. And he said, you know that the reign was mine, and all Israel has set their faces towards me, that I should reign. But the reign has been turned around and has become my brother's, for it was his from Yahuah.
Mm.
And now I am making one request of you. Do not refuse me. And she said, say it. And he said, please speak to sovereign Shlomo for me, for he would not refuse you, to give me Abishag, the Shumite, as a wife.
Pause. First of all, even this guy don't believe the flatteries that he's spewing out there. He's speaking with a double tongue because he got a double mind and a double heart.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to be reigning. I was supposed to be king.
Mm.
But my little brother reigning because, of course, it was Yah. Yeah, it was kids from Yah. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you could just give me one little thing,
Mm-hmm.
what do I think about a man that goes to, instead of going directly to the man he need to talk to, you done went to his mother or his wife?
That was strategy, because he went to David's wife. King Dawid's one of King Dawid's wives, about a younger wife that was there to comfort him
It
in
was
his
an own
last
strategy.
days.
Absolutely.
So he planned on her jealousy of that woman.
It's not his mother, it's Shlomo's mother. He's going to
Yeah.
Shlomo's mother.
Yeah, wanting to get that, so he counted on her wanting to get her out of the kingdom.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because she was Dawid's last beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And Shlomo, being close with his mama and her being able to, you know what I'm saying? So he
Whisper in his ear as a
Yeah.
counsel.
yeah. So it was tragic, man. It was a lot.
Strategy.
Well, was a lot of politics going on.
Yes. Yes, it was. So what happens?
But to try that with Shlomo,
That was his little brother.
man.
Sometimes it's hard to see a little brother as anything but a
We
little
was
brother.
talking about that when people say you got to leave home.
Somebody was, yeah.
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 Okay.
In order to get the respect you,
Yeah.
y'all trying to give you something, do something with you, but everybody who's known you from before,
Yeah.
y'all started interacting with you like that, can't see you in the way that y'all is trying to
Yeah.
mold you.
Think about the Messiah's younger siblings, because
Yeah.
he was Mary's firstborn. But think about how his siblings must have viewed him. You know what I'm saying?
Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
I meant Joseph.
Yeah.
Classic one.
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
We are right after Abishag.
Okay.
22, I think.
And Bathsheba said
Oh, where you at?
18, I think.
Okay. No. You read that already.
No.
You did?
Yeah, I left off on 17.
Okay, I apologize.
Asked for the woman for the wife.
Yeah.
And Bathsheba said, good, let me speak for you to the sovereign.
Let's get on up out of there.
Let's get on. And that Bathsheba came to Sovereign Shlomo to speak to him for AdoniYah.
Uh-huh.
And the sovereign rose up to meet her and bowed down to her and sat down on his throne and had a throne set for sovereign's mother. So she sat at his right hand.
So it shows you how he esteemed his mother.
Mm.
He did obedience to his mother and had a throne set at his right hand, meaning she is his counselor at this point.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
So and Bathsheba,
We're in 1 Kings chapter
20,
2,
okay.
verse 20.
And she said, I am making one small request of you, do not refuse me. And the sovereign said to her, ask it, my mother, for I do not refuse you.
Mhm.
Then she said, let Abishag the Shumite be given to AdoniYah, your brother, as a wife.
Wow.
And the sovereign Shlomo answered and said to his mother, now why do you ask Abishag the Shumite for AdoniYah? Ask for him the reign also, for he is my older brother. For him and for Abaithar the priest, and for Yahuah, son of Zuriah.
Now listen what he just said. Did y'all catch that?
Mm-hmm.
He said, if you ask him for my father's wife, for my older brother as a wife,
Right.
you may as well just say it to me.
Yeah.
Give him the kingdom, give him the throne, not only him, but give it to him. Give it to Abaithar, who sided with him, and give it to Joab, my nephew, who also sided with him. This is what you just told me. This request was a threat against me and my throne. And you brought it to me as a friend.
You let them use you.
You let them use you. I'm thoroughly insulted.
You brought the Trojan horse in.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So how does Shlomo respond?
And the sovereign Shlomo swore by Yahuah, saying, Elohim does so to me, and more also, if AdoniYah has not spoken this word against his own life.
What does he mean?
I'm not gonna murk this fool.
That's what he means.
Now he had a chance to chill out. And he had a chance to sit down somewhere.
That was way more direct than what I was going to say. But yeah, that's exactly what he means. He's saying, when he said, Elohim does so to me and more also if. So that's AdoniYah's life. And if I don't take his life, this is his pledge. If I don't take his life, let Yah do to me the same thing I'm finna do to him and worse. Which means I got to do this.
Yeah.
I got to do this.
He ain't gonna stop.
Yep. Well, it's not the first time already.
Right.
We skipped over a lot. This ain't the first time. He's going to continue to do this. He has designs on the throne.
Yeah. And now, as Yahuah lives, who established me and set me on the throne of Dawid, my father, and who has made me a house, as he promised, AdoniYah shall be put to death today.
Night.
And Sovereign Shlomo, sent by the hand of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him and he died. Dang,
Translation.
He sent an assassin after that fool.
Yep.
Man.
It was already in the works. It was just a matter of time.
And you know, Benaiah old in age now, still deadly. Because Benaiah rolled out with Dawid. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And Benaiah is still not to be messed with.
That's right. He is still part of the administration, even though it's his son.
Yep.
Dang, stone cold killer.
Then the sovereign said to Abaithar, the priest, go to Anathar, to your own fields, for you deserve death.
Oh.
But I do not put you to death at this time, because you did bear the ark of the Master Yahuah before my father Dawid.
Okay.
And because you were afflicted in all my father was afflicted in.
Remember, he did ride out with Dawid.
He rode out. So Shlomo dismissed Abaithar from being priest of Yahuah to fill the word of Yahuah, which he spoke concerning the house of Eli at Shiloh.
Boom. So there it is. So now, even though Yahuah said that Eli's sons would no longer be priests, it didn't happen immediately. This is a couple generations down the line. But Yahuah's words, when he speaks them, they never fall to the ground. Right? As he says, like an archer's bow. Once he draws it back, that arrow cannot come back. Okay? Let's look at Dawid's lineage. And therefore Shlomo's lineage. 1 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 1. 1 through 19. 1 Chronicles chapter 3, verses 1 through 19. So Dawid is running the kingdom while y'all getting there. And Dawid has been told, as long as he operates in righteousness, keeps the law, statutes, commandments, keeps his nose clean, so to speak, Shlomo, Torah, keeps his nose clean, so to speak, he will prosper, and his sons after him will prosper. So let's look at the names of some of these kings and sons, and we're going to focus on the ones that rule, because some of these sons don't rule. Okay, so starting one, whenever you're ready.
And these were the sons of Dawid who were born to him in Hebron. The firstborn was Amnon by Ahinoam, the Israelites.
The Israelites, yeah.
The second Daniel by Abigail, the Carmelitess. The third Absalom, son of Maki, the daughter of Talma.
Okay.
Sovereign of Geshur. The fourth AdoniYah, son of Haggith.
AdoniYah.
Yeah. The fifth Shepatiah by Abaithar. The sixth Yethro by his wife Eglah. The six were born to him in Hebron, and he reigned there 7 years, 6 new moons, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years.
Okay.
And these were born to him in Jerusalem.
So now that he's moved to Jerusalem, now these are a different group of children.
All different women.
All different women, yes.
So we obviously had.
Well, you know, Shlomo had to get it from somewhere.
Oh, right.
He just come up with this as a new idea.
Shema and Shobab and Nathan and Shlomo. There was 4 by Bathsheba, the daughter of Amil. Yephar also, and Elishama, and Eliphat, and Noga, and Nega, and Yapiah, and Elishama, and Eliada, and Elphalet, 9. All the sons of Dawid besides the sons of the concubines, and Tamar their sister.
So we didn't count the concubines' children.
So did Bathsheba have, did he have all those children by Bathsheba?
Bathsheba?
Oh, yeah, mom say Bathsheba, but yeah, by Bathsheba.
Yeah, they listed the ones by Bathsheba. And now on to Shlomo's sons.
And Shlomo's sons was Rehoboam, Abiyah, his son,
another Abiyah,
Asa, his son.
Asa. The reason I pronounce it in other ways is because you'll hear him pronounced in many different ways. And so when you hear him, I want you to be familiar that this is the same individual. Just because somebody pronounced it a different way, it's the same individual. But yeah, Asa, yeah.
Jehoshaphat, his son. Yoram, his son.
Ahazyahu, yeah.
His son. Yoash, his son.
Yeah.
And
Amatsyahu,
his son. Azariah, his son. Jotham, his son. Ahaz, his son.
Yeah.
Hiskiah, his son.
Y'all should recognize Hiskiyahu. That was a king that we read about later on.
Manasseh, his son. Ammon, his son. Yoshiah, his son.
Josiah.
And the sons of Yoshiah, Yahanan, the firstborn. The second, Jehoiakim.
Jehoiakim comes up in the lineage of the kings. Go ahead.
The third, Zedekiah.
Yeah, Zedekiyahu.
The fourth, Shalom. And the sons of Jehoiakim was Jeconiah or Coniah.
That's right. So Jeconiah, Coniah. He's also referred to as Koya. If you read about him in another place and it says that they refer to him as the captive, that's the same Jeconiah. He's a key figure when it comes to whether or not Joseph is the father. This is that Jeconiah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then his sons and Zedekiah, his sons.
Right.
And the sons of Jeconiah,
Yeah.
the captive,
Shealtiel,
his son, and Malchloraim, and Pedaiah, and Shenaster, and Yakinyah, Hoshima, and Nadabiah. And the sons of Pedaiah, Zerubbabel, and Shema, and the sons of Zerubbabel, Mashullam, Hananiah, and Shalomith, their sister.
So Zerubbabel and Shemi. Zerubbabel had Meshullam, Hananiah, and his sister Shalomith. So Zerubbabel, let's look at Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel, the name means, I've seen both translations, a stranger or an offspring of Babylon. A stranger or an offspring of Babylon. Now that we've read through those lists of kings, like I said, we're not tracking the kings right now. That's a whole nother study, right? To deal with in the book of 1st and 2nd Kings, where it says, and this king did worse than the king before him, and so on and so forth. What happened with Shlomo's sons, how they began to go to war with each other, Shlomo's wickedness and then his son's wickedness, and how then the kingdom was ripped apart, right? Y'all familiar with that? Okay. So now we've trekked across generations now, just in reading that name list. So let's read about Zerubbabel, because we're at the end of that name list, and what was going on in his time, just to give you an idea of where we are when we're talking about Zerubbabel. So according to the biblical narrative, Zerubbabel was a governor of the Achaemenid Empire's province of Yehud, Judah, and the grandson of Jeconiah, Koya, same individual. The Pnulamite king of Judah. Zerubbabel led the first group of Jews, numbering 42,360, who returned from Babylonian captivity in the first year of Cyrus the Great. Meaning, Zerubbabel would have been the one sitting on the throne if they were in Jerusalem where there was a throne. But because he was in Babylonian captivity, and then in the Syrian captivity, and then in the Persian captivity, there was a king of Persia. You can't be king of Persia. So he was referred to as a governor. But even in their captivity, they knew who the king was supposed to be. It was Zerubbabel. He was referred to as a governor. Okay, so it says Zerubbabel also, let me back up. The date is generally thought to have been between 538 and 520 BC. Zerubbabel also laid the foundation of the second temple in Jerusalem soon after. In all accounts in the Hebrew Bible that mention Zerubbabel, he was always associated with the high priest who returned with him, Yahushua, son of Jehozadak. Together, these two men led the first wave of Yehudim, returnees from the exile, and began to rebuild the temple. That's the time frame we're sitting at when we're talking about Zerubbabel. Okay? Let's go back to 1 Chronicles 3, picking up at 20 through 24.
And Hashubah and Ohel and Berechiah and Hasabiah and Yeshab Hasad,
Good.
5. And the sons of Hananiah was Palatsya and Yeshaiah, the son of Repiah, the son of Arnan, the son of Obadiah, the sons of Shechaniah, the sons of Shechaniah was Shemaiah, the son of Shemaiah, Hattush, and Yigal, and Bariah, and Nariah, and Shaphat 6.
Shaphat 6 came, Neriah.
And the sons of Neriah,
Eloani. I'm guessing, yeah.
And Hiskiah, and Azarkim 3. And the sons of Elonani Hadawiah, and Elishib, and Peliah, and Akub, and Yahanan, and Deliah, and
Ani. 7. Okay, hallelujah. I
Yes.
told off of that. Okay, so now, again, during the time of Zerubbabel, and those that she just read came after Zerubbabel, during the time of Zerubbabel, we're dealing with the captivity that we were in the time of the Persians, the Medes, and then the Persians, right? So let's look at Ezra 1. And let's look at the proclamation of Cyrus, often referred to as Cyrus the Great. Okay. That priesthood was broken up, just like the tribes were broken up. And you had priests, some that went with the 10 tribes, some that went with Judah. And so some of the Levites were in captivity with Judah in the Babylonian captivity and in the Medo-Persian captivity as well. So let's read about that. Ezra 1. We're going to read through 11. Ezra 1 through 11. Hold on, whenever you're ready.
And in the first year of Koresh, sovereign of Persia, that the word of Yahuah by the mouth of Yirmiah might be accomplished, Yahuah stirred up the spirit of Koresh, sovereign of Persia, to proclaim throughout all his reign, and also in writing, saying, Thus says Koresh, sovereign of Persia, Yahuah Elohim of the heavens has given me all the reins of the earth, and he has commanded me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Yehudah.
This is the king of Persia saying that. King of Persia is saying, Yahuah has commanded me to build a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. But real quick, when it says, in order that the word of Yahuah by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, let's get that so y'all can see it real quick. That's Jeremiah 25. I'll read it for you. Jeremiah 25, verse 4. Because I think it's beautiful when you can see that prophecy, and then when you can go back and see exactly what it said and match it to the prophecy being fulfilled, right? 25, 4 through 7. And it says, moreover, Yahuah has sent you to all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, but you have not listened nor inclined your ear, thus saying, turn back now everyone from his evil way and from the evil of your deeds, and dwell on the soil which Yahuah has given to you and to your fathers forever and ever. And do not go after mighty ones to serve them and to bow down to them, and do not provoke me with the works of your hands, so that I do you no evil. But you did not listen to me, declares Yahuah, so as to provoke me with the works of your hands for your own evil. So in Jeremiah 24, it's telling them that as they are in Babylon, if you go to the beginning of 25, it tells you where they're at in their captivity. He's telling them, if you turn back, I'll bring you back. And so this is the first time we see that fulfilled. The first time we see that fulfilled, bringing us back from the places we are scattered. Okay, go ahead.
And, okay, who is among you of all his people? His Elohim be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Yehudah, and build the house of Yahuah, Elohim of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
He is Elohim, which is in Jerusalem. And whoever is left from all the places where he sojourns, let the men of this place help him with silver and gold, with goats and livestock, besides the voluntary offering for the house of Elohim, which is in Jerusalem.
Did Cyrus just proclaim Yahuah to be the Most High? Hallelujah. Okay.
And we don't, Cyrus, this is the same one that, what you call it, Mary, right?
No, that's Xerxes.
Oh, that was Xerxes,
Yeah,
right?
he's coming up.
Is Cyrus his son?
Cyrus is
father?
before Xerxes.
Oh, it's his father.
No, Darius is after Cyrus.
Oh, goodness, okay. All right. And the heads of the fathers' houses of Yehudah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, with all those whose spirits Elohim has stirred, rose up to go up and build the house of Yahuah, which is in Jerusalem.
Pause. Can you read that for me again, please?
And the heads of the fathers' houses of Yehudah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, with all those whose spirits Elohim has stirred, rose up to go up and build the house of Yahuah, which is in Jerusalem.
Okay, I just want to underscore this and emphasize this. The heads of the fathers' houses who were there in captivity in Persia were of Judah and Benjamin and Levi. For those that are unaware, all 12 tribes were not in captivity here. Remember that 10 tribes were scattered in a different captivity by the Assyrians throughout all of the lands where Assyria ruled. The 10 tribes were already scattered in a different place. Judah was then taken into captivity, first occupied, and then taken into captivity by Babylon. And so think about this, fam. Going forward here, we're dealing with these people going back to the land, rebuilding the temple and all that. These are Yehudim, with a few Benjamites and some Levites. Everything that goes on from here going forward, all the way to the time Messiah come back on the scene, where you have these people back in the land, is Judah. We didn't even consider 10 tribes to be Israelites anymore at a certain point. We considered them to be Gentiles because they had mixed in with the nations. And so when we get to the so-called New Testament and we're talking about Gentiles, a lot of those places we're talking about Israel being scattered among the nations. We were not all together, right? Here's the evidence of that.
You know, another thing that stood out to me,
Hmm.
that although these brews, these Yehudim, who they speak of, who Yah stirred up their spirit, although they were moving around Persia freely, had jobs, had money, had cattle, had livestock, AdoniYah still considered them to be in their captivity.
Yeah.
And so if you wonder whether or not we, you know, whether or not us here in America is still,
Our captivity.
yeah, if
Yeah.
AdoniYah still look at this as us in our captivity, there's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah. He was, look, Zerubbabel was a governor.
Mhm. Right.
They were still in their captivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. We not doing bad right now. I'm talking about me personally. You know, I feel like God blesses us,
Mhm.
but I still realize we're in our captivity,
Yeah.
right? We just trying to make the most of it by following law.
And all we gotta do is step our line just a little bit to know you still in your captivity. They
100%.
remind you real quick.
100%. Yeah.
Okay,
6.
and all those round about them strengthened their hands with objects of silver and gold, with goods and livestock, and with valuables, besides all that was voluntarily offered. The sovereign Koresh brought out the utensils of the house of Yahuah, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken from Jerusalem and
They
put in the
passing
house.
from one kingdom to another.
And you know how long ago that was?
Yeah. Some of that stuff we agree, we think is at the Vatican even right now.
Yeah.
And at the What's- what's the other one that just took the throne?
Oh,
Britain.
oh yeah. Oh, you already know over there in the Queen's vaults.
King now.
Now the king.
Yeah.
Bam. Yeah.
We're in Ezra chapter 1, verse 7. Okay.
And Koresh, sovereign of Persia, brought them out by the hand of Mithridates, the treasurer, and counted them out to Sheshbazzar,
Mm-hmm.
the leader of Yehudah. And this was
I apologize. That was Zerubbabel.
Oh, that was Zerubbabel? Oh,
That was his Babylonian name.
Oh, wow.
That was Zerubbabel's Babylonian name. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, just a side note.
I guess it's better than Chad.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Like Daniel and Belshazzar?
Well, you know, look at some of our Americanized names.
Babylonian names.
Buford. I knew a Buford, a black Buford. I ain't lying, Buford.
Mm.
Okay. And this was the number, and this was their number. 30 gold dishes, 1,000 silver dishes, 29 knives, 30 gold basins, next 410 silver basins, 1,000 other utensils. All the utensils of the gold and silver were 5,400.
Shabastazar.
Which was
Shabastazar. That's Zerubbabel.
Zerubbabel took all of them with the exiles who were brought from Babel to Jerusalem.
Yeah. So when the proclamation was made and Cyrus decreed that Yahuah had put it on his heart, and I believe he did, to ask who of Judah had the spirit on them to go back and rebuild, the governor, the rightful king of Judah, took the lead and said, yeah, let me lead this charge. And so that's who stepped up to do this, and he led that. Let's go to Ezra 2, verses 1 and 2. Ezra, see how good I did there?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 1 and 2. That's it.
And these are the sons of the province who came back from the captivity of the exiles, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, had exiled to Babel, and who returned to Jerusalem and Yehudah, each to his own city.
Mm-hmm.
Who came with Zerubbabel?
Mm-hmm.
Yehoshua, Nehemiah,
Mm-hmm.
Sariah,
Mm-hmm.
Re'iliah,
Mhm.
Mordecai.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you call it, Uncle?
That's Mordecai.
Wow. Bilshan,
Mm-hmm.
Misbar,
Mm-hmm.
Bigwa,
Mm-hmm.
Big Wow,
yeah, okay,
like Big Eye.
yeah.
Ruham, Baana, the number of the men of the people of Israel.
I know now on YouTube call itself Banya.
Banya.
So listen, a lot of times we think these prophets lived decades apart from each other.
Mhm.
These prophets were right there together.
Mhm.
These priests and Zerubbabel. So with Zerubbabel, Yahusha, that same Yahusha that we're talking about from the book of Zechariah, Nehemiah.
You know Nehemiah laid hands.
That was Nehemiah was there. Mordecai was there.
Mordecai was about that business too.
And this is the book of Ezra. So Ezra was around, okay? So they have got the okay from Cyrus, who was the ruler, to go and build this temple. They go back and they start building this temple. I skipped a lot of this was more names, right? Y'all go back and read. Like I said, in my notes, I said Ezra, and then first Ezra and second Ezra, which is in the Apocrypha. Read all of that.
One Daniel around too, but one Daniel, one of the prophets of the priests, most of those kings kept close to him. He was there
after Daniel now.
Are we way out in that?
We're after Daniel now. Yeah. Yeah. And so they go and they began building this temple. But things don't go all that smooth.
Haters arise from the
Yeah. So let's read about that. Let's go Ezra 4. The book of Ezra, chapter 4. Let's just start reading. I don't want you to tense up. Let's just read it. We'll see where we go. Okay.
Mhm. And when the adversaries of Yehuda and Benjamin heard that the sons of the exile were building the Hekel of Yahuah, Elohim of Israel, they came to Zerubbabel and the heads of the fathers' houses and said to them,
listen how these snakes speak.
let us build with you, for we seek your Elohim as you do. And we have slaughtered to him since the days of Arsarhaddon, sovereign of Ashur, who brought us here.
So
What? Okay. Question. Sovereign of Ashur was these Hebrews.
let's keep reading. Yes. Asherman too. And some ice, please. Sorry. You know, keep asking me. You could have asked her over there.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, but Zerubbabel and Yahusha and the rest of the heads of the fathers' houses of Israel said to them, it is not for you and for us to build a house for Elohim.
We don't need your help. Thank you.
But we alone build a house to Yahuah of Israel.
Okay.
As the sovereign Koresh, the sovereign of Persia, has commanded us. And it came to be that the people of the land were weakening the hands of the people of Yehuda and troubling them in their buildings, and hiring counselors against them to thwart their plans.
Now, why would you do that if you were trying to help?
Haters. All the days of Koresh, sovereign of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, sovereign of Persia.
Okay.
And in the reign of Ashwarrosh.
So it's similar to Darius, but it's a like Ariosh when it's written in the English translation. I looked it up because I was curious. So it's like Ariosh or something like that.
Darius and Darius.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so in the beginning of his reign, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Yehuda and Jerusalem.
So now we hear what's really on their hearts. So this is the letter that they wrote to Xerxes, right? And so we're reading about several different kings here, not to get them confused, but they reigned in succession. And so this happened over a couple of different reigns, a couple of different kings in rulership. And so that's why you hear all these different names. But these were all rulers of Persia.
Okay.
So this is the letter. Go ahead.
And in the days of Artashati, Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabul, Tabiel, and the rest of their companions wrote to Artashati, sovereign of Persia,
Mhm.
And the letter was written in Aramaic and translated from Aramaic. Ruham, the governor of Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to sovereign Artaxerxes.
Yeah. So like I said, I think that's Xerxes, if you want to go with Xerxes.
Ruham, the governor of Shamshu, the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the judges and the emissaries, the counselors, the officials, the people of Erech and of Babel and of Shushan, the Dehawites, the
Okay.
Elamites.
Ruham, the
Ruham.
governor of Shemashi, I'm just repeating it, this
Okay.
is all, who was the scribe, and the rest of his companions, the judges and the emissaries, the consuls, the officials, this is who they are. You've been wondering who they are. The people of Erech, thank you, and Babel, the people of Erech and Babel. So Judah was taken into exile by Babylonians. But first they were occupied by Babylon. Babylon first came into Judah and said, this is our place. You can keep living here, but we run this now.
Mhm.
Then eventually, when they didn't continue to do what Nebuchadnezzar didn't want, they took them into Babylon. Well, who then stayed living in the land?
Babylonians.
These people. Okay, so now these people was witnessing Judah come back. Like, what you doing?
Building the temple.
You building the wall back up? No, you can't. This ours now.
Yeah.
That's why they got the problem. These are the people who stayed and occupied that place after Judah was removed. And they said that these are the people of Erech and of Babel and of Shushan, the Dehawites, the Elamites. This Elam in them. Elam you can find in the Table of Nations. This Elam, this the Elamites. Okay, go ahead.
And the rest of the nations, whom the great and noble Osnapper took into exile and settled in the cities of Shamaran and the rest beyond the river.
So
And
that, so that means there's also mixed in with them. If Nebuchadnezzar was like what's the one in Chronicles of Riddick that come take over
the crusher of worlds.
the destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
So if Nebuchadnezzar was like that individual who come take over your country, but then you join him and you become one of them.
He was like an Alexander the Great all day.
He was. And so some of these people were from other nations that he took over also, but now have settled in this place. That's what this is saying. So it's a mixture of people who are now like, well, it's our home now.
Yeah.
You can't come back and take it back.
You can't let them come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a copy of the letter that they sent him to sovereign from your servants, the men beyond the river, and now.
Okay.
Let it be known to the sovereign that the Yehudim who came up from you have come to us at Jerusalem and are building the rebellious and evil city and are compelling its walls and repairing the foundation.
I want y'all to really think about the way that's worded. They are building the rebellious and evil city. We think about these terms, adversary, as if when we're talking about it in scriptural terms, that it automatically means Ha-Shatan. Ha-Shatan only means adversary. But we assume that we're always talking about somebody who was against Yah, who was against Yahusha, who was against Israel. Adversary only means adversary, right? And for all of the people that Israel came up against, they considered Israel to be adversaries, and they considered Israel to be evil, and they considered Israel to be rebellious.
So they looked at the ruins of the temple as a celebration, they probably made it a momentum even, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They probably met that every year to celebrate when the walls fell.
They're gonna spell it out in even more detail, but I want to get the foundation, in place as we read through this. Go ahead.
Okay. Now let it now be known to the sovereign that if this city is built and the walls completed, they are not going to pay taxes, excise,
Excise.
or toll
Mhm.
and cause the revenue of the sovereign to suffer loss.
No, they don't want to pay taxes.
You know
Okay.
how them Negroes are. The
Mhm.
Negroes ain't gonna pay their bills.
Yeah, you talking about taxes to a kingdom that's not my kingdom. Why would I pay taxes?
Right. Now, now because we have eaten salt from the palace, it was not fitting for us to see the sovereign's shame. Therefore, we have sent and informed the sovereign, so that the search be made in the book of the records of your fathers, and you find in the book of the records and know that this city is a rebellious city and causing loss to sovereigns and provinces. And revolt was stirred up in it since days of old, for which cause this city has been destroyed.
So I just want y'all to think about that now. And my question to you is he telling the truth or not?
Yes, he is. This is the fear that they carry.
Yeah, we don't like what he's saying about us, but if we just dealing with the facts, for those other nations who came and tried to push their agenda on us, speaking in today's terminology, we did not go along with their agenda. We said, no, that is not our culture. That's not our heritage. We're awake, but we're not woke, because what y'all doing in the name of wokeness, I hate to sound like a conservative, but yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with, some of the stuff y'all saying I agree with, but that's against Torah, and that's against Torah, and that's against Torah. And just because it's popular and the cool thing to do, and democracy say we should all go along to get along, we're not doing that. And they consider that rebellious, and they consider that a problem for consecutive kingdoms that came and tried to deal with us.
People don't play nice with the universal mind.
With the ecumenical movement. And so the word about Israel that was being passed from ruler to ruler, world ruler to world ruler, superpower to superpower is them Negroes is a problem.
Yeah.
They're not going to go along. You need to go ahead and squash that. Find the biggest, strongest one you can, rip them apart in front of everybody else, get them under control. Yeah.
Broadcast your shame to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be no weak king and put these back in back.
Y'all understand what we're saying, right? Okay, let's continue.
So we informed that we informed the sovereign. Okay.
That's right.
We informed the sovereign that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, then you have no portion beyond the river.
You are going to lose the province that you call part of your kingdom if you let them do this. Go ahead.
So the sovereign sent a letter back to Ruham, the governor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their companions who dwell in Shemaron, and the rest beyond the river. Peace. And now, the letter you sent to us has been plainly read before me, and I made the decree, and a search has been made, and it was found that this city in days of old has lifted up itself against sovereigns, and that rebellion and revolt have been made in it.
Remember, this is not Cyrus.
No,
this is another king after Cyrus.
Yeah, and mighty sovereigns have been over Jerusalem, who have ruled over all beyond the river, and tax, excise, and toll were paid to them. Now make a decree to make these men cease, and that this city be not built until the command is given by me. And beware of negligence to do this. Why should damage increase to the hurt of the sovereign? And when the copy of the letter of sovereign Artaxerxes was read before Ruham, Shimshai the scribe, and their companions, they went up to hurry to Jerusalem against the Yehudim and made them cease by might and power.
You know what that means?
Yeah. Then the work of the house of El, which is at Jerusalem, ceased. And it ceased until the second year of the reign of Darius, sovereign of Persia.
Okay. So now they went through all of that and they got what they wanted. They got a king who saw it through the lens that they wanted them to see it, which is they're not gonna play nice, right? So let's see how this work of building the temple begins again after they stopped it. Let's go to Ezra 5. We're just gonna read. We're just gonna read. Whenever you're ready. Starting at 1.
Then the prophet Haggai, the prophet, and Zechariah, son of Adu, prophesied to the Yehudim who were in Yehudah and Jerusalem in the name of El of Israel upon them. Then Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Yehoshua, son of Jehozadak, rose up and began to build the house of El, which is at Jerusalem. And the prophets of El were there with him, helping them.
Okay, so this is written during the time of Ezra. Remember, we said these letters, we read that these letters were written in Aramaic and then translated for the Persian king. So we've made a transition to what we're reading in Torah, reading about Elohim, to now them writing as Elah, right? And so in translation, it's still discussing Elohim or the Almighty or the Almighty power. I wouldn't shorten it to El because that is a specific deity.
Eli is, so that's the one.
Eli is as well.
That's the one Brianna chanted on her son umbrella.
Yeah, and so listen, it's in layman's terms, what we're saying is the Almighty or the Most High, right? Or Yahuah, even. And so Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Yahushua, son of Jehozadak, these are all the same men that we were reading about before, right? Zechariah 3, read Zechariah 3. Zechariah 3 is where we read about this Yahushua, who is the high priest, being crowned, who's the son of Jehozadak, during the reign of Zerubbabel, who is said, whose name is the branch, right? It says, beware, Yahushua, son of Jehozadak, you and your compatriots are men of symbol. It says, behold, the man whose name is the branch. Zechariah 3, read Zechariah 3. Okay. Picking up at 3. I apologize. No coincidence, right? When we're talking about similitudes, right? That was an obvious similitude, but it also said, you are going to build my temple, right? We are in the time frame where they are literally building the temple, but it's also foreshadowing Yahushua Ha MashiYahch building the temple that is the body of Messiah. Absolutely. So that we have to draw those parallels, right? When Yahushua told his apostles, when they sat down and it says he began with the scriptures and told them all the things concerning him, this is some of that stuff he would have been showing them. This was being, he would have been showing them saying this is what's being fulfilled now, right? Okay.
Okay. At the time, Tatiniah, the governor beyond the river, and Sheter Bozenia, and their companions came to them and said this to them: who has made you a decree to build this house and to complete this wall?
What you doing over there?
Then we told them what the names were of the men who were building this building. And the eye of their power was upon the elders of Yehudah, of the Yehudim, so that they could not make them cease until the matter went to Darius. And then they sent back a letter concerning this.
Okay, so this is Tata's letter to Darius.
This is a copy of the letter that Tata, governor beyond the river.
You don't go with that too? Tatanai. But feel free to go with Tata. I don't know.
We're short, Bruce short. Tata them. Sent and Sheter Bozenia and his companions, the officials beyond the river, to Darius the sovereign. They sent a letter to him, and this was written in. To Darius the sovereign, all peace.
Mhm.
Let it be known to the sovereign that we went into the province of Yahudah to the house of the great power, which is being built with heavy stones, and timber is being laid in the walls.
Mhm.
And this work goes on speedily and is blessed in their hands.
Mhm.
Then we asked the elders, saying this to them: who made you a decree to build this house and to complete these walls? And we also asked them their names in order to inform you, so we could write the names of the men at their head.
If you see something, say something.
Right.
Huh?
And this is the answer they gave us: we are the servants of the power of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the house that was built many years ago, which a great sovereign of Israel built and completed.
Hallelujah.
But because our fathers provoked the power of heaven, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and Chaldea, who destroyed this house and exiled the people to Babel.
Yep.
But in the first year of Koresh, sovereign of Babel, Koresh the sovereign made a decree to build this house of power.
That's Cyrus.
And also the gold and silver utensils of the house of power, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the Hekel that was in Jerusalem and brought to the Hekel of Babel. Thus sovereign Koresh took from the Hekel of Babel, and they were given to one named
That's Zerubbabel.
Zerubbabel,
Yeah.
whom he had made governor.
Why? Because he was the rightful ruler in Judah. He would have been of the direct lineage of Dawid. Okay.
And he said, take these utensils, go and deposit them into the Hekel in Jerusalem, and let the house of the Most High be built on its place. Then the same Zerubbabel
Mhm.
came and laid the foundation of the house of the Most High, which is in Jerusalem. And since that time, even until now, it has been in building and it's not completed.
Mhm.
And now, if it seems good to the sovereign, let a search be made in the sovereign's treasure house, which is in Babel, whether it is so that a decree was made by sovereign Koresh to build this house of the Most High at Jerusalem, and let the sovereign send us his decision concerning this.
Hallelujah. Now, it's interesting that just last night when we were doing our studying scriptures, you made mention about governments keeping records
Oh, yeah.
and being able to go back and check the records to see if there's been any shifts in things. And that was going on even back then.
Yeah, they keep it. Like they know, trust me, they know who would be, if Jerusalem was still standing, who would be king.
100%.
They know.
They 100% know who the prince of Judah is, who the governor of Judah is.
They
They
know.
got a good idea, I believe, of who the Levites are
Yep.
among Judah. And I'll be 100% transparent with you guys. From our study and what we believe that it was indeed Judah that was dispersed into the west coast of Africa, and it was indeed Judah that was also dispersed to the Western Hemisphere, not the 10 tribes. Not to say that there aren't some sprinkles of the 10 tribes also over here, but we believe we fourth tribe. We believe we fourth tribe here, to be clear.
And one of the things that we do notice about all these leaders who ruled over Jerusalem after Solomon's kingdom fell, they keep whoever that king should have been close to them.
And they keep Judah in general close to them.
Yep.
It makes all the sense in the world. They did it in Babylon, did it in Persia.
Judah profits them two ways. First of all, Yahuah, even though he punishes Judah, always with him. And second of all, would say keep thy enemies close.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what was Darius's response? Let's look at the decree of Darius, Ezra 6.
Okay. We can just start reading.
Yeah, let's just nice and easy. Just go on, let it roll.
Okay. Then Darius, the sovereign, made a decree. And a search was made in the house of the books wherein also the treasure of Babel were kept.
Mhm.
And at Abaithar,
Uh-huh.
in the palace, which is in the province of Media.
So Medea was in a province that was ruled by Persia, hence the term Medo-Persia.
Yeah, you remember during that time, Persia was the superpower of the world. Persia ruled the whole
100%.
world.
And where's Persia now? Where's what we consider modern day Persia?
In Iran.
Iran.
Right.
For anybody who doesn't know. Yep. Absolutely.
A scroll was found, and this was written in it. In the first year of Sovereign Koresh made a decree concerning the house of the Most High at Jerusalem. Let the house be built in the place where they brought offerings, and its foundation strongly laid, its height 60 cubits, its width 60 cubits, 3 rows of heavy stones, and 1 row of new timber.
Hallelujah.
Let the expenses be paid from the sovereign's house.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Give us a good send off.
I'm telling you. And let the gold and the silver utensils of the house of the Most High, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the Hekel, which is in Jerusalem, and brought to Babel, be returned, and go to the Hekel, which is in Jerusalem, to its place, and deposit them in the house of the Most High. Now, Tata, governor beyond the river,
Okay.
and Shether Bozenai, that guy, and your companions, the officials beyond the river, stay away from them.
Yeah.
Leave the work of the house of the Most High alone, and let the governor of Yehudah and the elders of the Yehudim build this house to the Most High on its place.
Hallelujah.
And I make a decree as to what you should do for the elders of these Yehudim.
Right. So while we at it, this is not only are you going to leave them alone, let's add this to the decree. Go ahead.
For the building of this house to the Most High, let the exact expense be paid to these men from the sovereign's resources out of the taxes beyond the river, so they are not stopped.
Hallelujah.
And whatever they need, both young bulls and rams and lambs for the sending offering of the Most High of heavens, wheat, salt, wine, oil, according to the request of the priests who are in Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, so that they bring pleasing offerings to the Most High of heavens and pray for the life of the sovereign and his sons.
Hallelujah.
Now, this still isn't what you call his husband.
This is Darius.
There he is. This
is not Xerxes. This is Darius.
Darius.
Yes.
Xerxes' dad.
So I think we already read about Xerxes.
So how old was Mordecai? Because Mordecai is the one who worked that scene with his niece.
Well, how fast were these kings dying?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty fast. They lived hard and
I don't know.
footloose, and it wasn't him.
But I think there's an interesting thing to think about here also as it relates to modern day, because just 5 or so years ago, people were comparing one of our presidents to Darius. Some were comparing him to Cyrus.
Sure was.
I can kind of see the Cyrus comparison a little bit more than Darius comparison, because you got an acknowledgement to a degree of us being here for a certain time, and then you got another president in office that didn't even bring it up anymore.
Right, because out of all the presidents, he was the one who signed the acknowledgement that these people have been here in the land of their captivity for 400 years.
Yeah,
that's something else.
That was very interesting. It was very interesting. Yeah, just food for thought. Okay, go ahead. I think you are at
9. No,
I think
10.
you're reading 10 now. Yeah.
11.
You read 10? Okay.
And I make a decree that whoever changes this word, let a timber be pulled from his house and let him be impaled, hanging on.
You worry about the timber that they doing. Yeah.
And let his house be made a dunghill because of it. Now, dung hill, that's a toilet place, right? That's a place where they empty their toilets, right?
Dunghill is, that's what dung is.
Mm.
Excrement,
Ugh.
feces.
And the Most High, who has caused his name to dwell there, does overthrow any sovereign or people who put their hand to change, to destroy this house of Yahuah, which is in Jerusalem.
Hallelujah.
And I, Darius, make a decree. Let it be done promptly, please.
That's right. So shall it be written, so shall it be done. So who else does Darius? I'm giving myself away. Who else did Darius send over there? Let's Ezra 7. We're gonna read we're almost there. Let's just read. We're almost there. Let's just read. But y'all understand, right? You as you read it, you understand why it's like I skipped a lot of stuff, but these details help paint a clear picture. Rather than just getting the highlights, we now have the context. We got the political background, you know what I'm saying? And we see exactly what's going on. Yeah, it's a lot. And it also helps you draw a parallel to us today.
Mhm.
What's going on with us in our captivity, and you can easily see history repeats itself.
Mhm.
You easily see. And you could also make the leap, the assumption, the fairly educated estimation that if Yah did these things in this way, then if we find ourselves in a similar predicament now, and he's saying that we coming out of here, like he said, was coming out of there, it may be a similar way.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good to know the details. It's good to sometimes, as Yona say, get the full course meal.
Especially when you start, it was something they said that really put me in the mind of reparations, because he said not Darius, but the first one. What's the first one? Cyrus said that,
Or Koresh, like David Koresh.
yeah, said that let the basically the cities that's housing these Yehudim put forth they go too.
Yeah.
You know, because something like reparations.
Absolutely.
To get this place rebuilt.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody pitch in.
Everybody pitch in.
Y'all put it on Cyrus's heart, and then y'all put it on Darius's heart. Y'all put it on Xerxes' heart, but Xerxes took a little bit of coaxing. Xerxes, you know, between Mordecai and Esther.
Yeah, they had to work him up.
Yeah.
Because he actually fell in love with Esther.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So Ezra 7.
Well, Esther show took one for the team, didn't she?
She did, for her people.
Goodness gracious. All right. And after these events, in the reign of,
He made sis.
what we say?
She said, since he acknowledged our captivity and trying to run again, maybe he gonna go ahead and write that check for reparations.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Hey, well, we can hope.
You know how much the child, if you start tracing that money back?
Let me tell you something, man. Once you start slinging that R word around, people come up missing.
Because you know that once they decree that, you know, following that money,
Yeah.
a lot of people gonna have to up their bread.
You know, that's, you know, Michael got off after he started using the R word. Michael the King. I'm being facetious. Martin Luther King. Y'all know his name was actually Michael, right? Not Martin Luther.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once he started talking about reparations, his days was numbered.
That's a lot like the found this if this place pay what they owe,
Yeah,
it would be no more.
yeah. But he said, especially the 2939. She said the ish people.
Yeah. Man, look.
Yeah, and the people who got the biggest hands in it gonna pay the most money, I believe. And it's gonna be a mass exodus, and it's gonna be an economic issue. It was an economic issue in Egypt.
It's gonna be world changing.
Yes.
It's gonna be world changing, and it's gonna make history. It's going to be it's for a while. It's gonna be all for years, generations to come.
It's
all
no way
everybody's
for it
gonna-
not to be.
Oh, it's gonna make history.
It's no way for it not to be. Egypt collapsed
Sure,
economically. When Egypt, and y'all put it on their hearts.
yeah. Yep.
Y'all put it on their hearts. When Egypt gave Israel everything that y'all put it on their hearts to do, it was like they was possessed. They were possessed.
Yep.
And as soon as the Israelites was on the way up out of there, it's like, wait,
What
cotton
the world
picking minute.
did we do?
And they went right, tried to go get it back.
Yeah, they did.
Got caught up in the sea of reeds.
Mm. You know, they you really look at that and you think that that was small, like a little neighborhood school. That was huge. That was huge. You know what I'm saying?
That was the superpower in the earth.
Yeah.
That was America then.
Yeah, that was World War I, World War II, huge.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. They don't have it. You're right. They don't have it. Here's the thing. They're talking about the debt crisis and all that right now. All those people that they owe money to owe us money.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a nation on earth that didn't have a hand
Yeah.
in what happened to us. So listen, when it comes time to pay the check,
Mm.
I don't care where you get it from. Pay me my money. I don't care where you go to get it from. You go to your lenders, you can go to your lien holders, you go get it from wherever you got to get it from, because my father and the general of this movement say you got to pay that money.
Spain, England,
Look, and
China.
don't let us have to come get it,
Man,
because you're gonna pay that money, but you ain't gonna do nothing.
when they pay that money, it's gonna break nations.
That's right.
Not just America.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Turn it
Spain
on,
gotta
please.
pay. England gotta pay.
All
All
of
these places got to pay.
All of
Britain
them.
definitely got to.
Oh yeah, you know
All
what I'm
of
saying?
Yes.
What's up for the Queens? You know what I mean? All these people gonna have to pay.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
All right,
Ezra 1, Todah.
all right. So after the events of the reign of Archak, oh goodness, Sovereign of
Or
Persia,
Xerxes. That's fine.
Xerxes, Sovereign of Persia, Ezra, son of Sariah, son of Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Shalom, son of Zadok, son of
Zadokites. Mhm.
Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Mariel, son of Zariah, son of Uzi, son of Buki, son of Abishai, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aharon, the chief priest. This Ezra came up from Babylon.
Wait, not no other Ezra.
I know what, don't give us
Yeah,
that.
we just they just gave you his whole pedigree,
That Ezra.
which is very important to understand, because although we skipped over it, part of the return was Ezra, Nehemiah, Zerubbabel, Yahusha, and all of them saying, you can come,
Yeah,
but have your pedigree in order.
yeah, you got the king and the head priest.
You got also those people who were there who came and said, let us help you. They said, we of you. We worship the same thing you do.
Yeah.
So they wasn't playing no games. It's like, no. We're going to suss out who's supposed to be here
Yeah,
and who ain't.
yeah.
Know your lineage.
So do you think they was from the 10 tribes, them Hagens that came?
I
They
don't.
said Asher.
I didn't read Asher.
What they said we've been
I
there
read
since.
Elamites. Oh, they may have been there since then. They may have mixed in with them. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. But if they was able to show lineage and pedigree of the 10 tribes, they would have been welcome.
Would they have been welcome in Jerusalem though?
By Ezra and Nehemiah and them, yes. Yes. If you were there trying to do Abaithar's will, you was welcome. But that wasn't what was going on. That wasn't what was going on. Okay.
So this Ezra, and he was a scribe skilled in the Torah of Moses, which Yahuah Elohim of Israel had given.
Mhm.
And the sovereign gave him all he asked according to the hand of Yahuah, his power upon him. And some of the children of Israel, and the priests, and the Levites, and the singers, and the gatekeepers, and the Nephim came up to Jerusalem in the 7th year of the sovereign Xerxes.
Mhm.
And he came to Jerusalem in the 5th new moon, which was in the 7th year of the sovereign. For on the first day of the 1st new moon, he began to go up from Babel. And on the first day of the 5th new moon, he came to Jerusalem, according to the good hands of his power upon him.
Hallelujah.
For Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the Torah of Yahuah, and to do it, and to teach laws and write rulings in Israel.
This had to be done again, fam. Remember, what was going on was very similar to when Moses brought us up out of Egypt. The law had to be reinstituted among all of the Israelites. We had grew into a nation. The law was well known by Jacob and his 12 sons and their family. But by the time we had grown into a nation in the belly of that beast, we was abiding by everything Egyptian, right? At this point, we had now soaked up everything Babylonian, and we had soaked up everything Median from the Medes, and then we had soaked up everything Persian, and now we had to unlearn all of that stuff and relearn Torah. And so this is what Darius sent Ezra for. He needed someone, or he was submitting to them that you might want to have somebody. You're going to rebuild a temple. That's one thing to look the part. You may need to have some people over there actually teaching what is good in the eyesight of Yah. And that's what Ezra's role was here.
Ezra was a powerful prophet. I
Yes.
know a lot of time we read about it.
And he was a Zadokite.
Yeah.
Who this was his job
Yeah.
to righteously teach these things, righteous, not just the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law.
How he was a prophet and priest,
Yes.
high priest.
Yes.
So it's like Ezra, I've been reading for Ezra, man.
That's right. We should just read all these Ezras today.
Man, Ezra was powerful. But one of the things that Abaithar admired about him, but told him to stop doing, was Ezra didn't necessarily see himself as righteous, because he could really smell his own filth. But Abaithar was saying, he said, you like to compare yourself to the wicked.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. I mean, it's honorable what you're doing because it keeps you humble.
Right.
But bro, let me tell you, all this is for you
I
because
got a job for you.
right, you know what I'm saying? He's like, you're of the righteous, all this is for you. And he just went down like a list of things. Ezra was one of Abiya's most powerful prophets.
Yeah. And he happened to be a priest
And he happened to be a priest.
of the Zadokite lineage.
Okay.
And so that's beautiful. Yeah. And so who else? Who else but Ezra to come and righteously reinstitute into these people how to make Yah happy and how to please Yah. Now, whether or not they actually do it is one thing, but it's not because Ezra didn't try to teach it. Okay, go ahead.
And some of the children of Israel and the priests, and he came to Jerusalem in the 5th new moon, which was in the 7th year of the sovereign. For on the first day of the 1st new moon, he began to go up from Babel. And on the first day of the 5th new moon, he came to Jerusalem according to the good hand of his power upon him.
Mm-hmm.
For Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the Torah.
Of Yahuah, it's okay. That's exactly where you left off. That's fine.
And to do it and to teach laws and write rulings in Israel.
Yeah.
And this is a copy of the letter that the sovereign Xerxes gave Ezra the priest, a scribe in the words of the commands of Yahuah and of his laws to Israel.
He said he was a perfect scribe in the laws of you, meaning as it goes, this Zadokite, remember our theory about the keepers of the Qumran, right? This Zadokite was a scribe. He wrote the Torah. He wrote Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
The books of the prophets may not have been complete yet. Some of them may have been there, but Enoch was probably there. And so to reproduce accurately and righteously copies of Torah, this is what Ezra did.
And the Pope and them chose to take out so many of his books.
Yeah.
Ezra got so many books.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they only allowed one doing it.
And to reproduce it accurately and righteously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's,
This is what he did. And even Xerxes said, oh no, you about that life.
yeah,
You the one that need to do this.
yeah.
Mhm.
Xerxes, sovereign of sovereigns, to Ezra the priest, a perfect scribe of the law of power of heaven and now.
That title, King of Kings, was one of the ones that
Yep.
all of these rulers in yesteryear,
Yep,
superpowers, they all took that title,
sure did.
which lead me to believe it was a spirit.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A mirroring spirit, because we know the King of Kings and I,
The real King of Kings.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But this mirroring spirit,
Mirroring lion spirit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I make a decree that all those of the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites in my reign who volunteered to go up to Jerusalem go with you.
Mhm.
Since you are being sent by the sovereign and his 7 counselors to inquire about Yehudah and Jerusalem
Uh-huh.
with regards of the law of your power, which is in your hand, and to bring the silver and the gold which the sovereign and his counselors have voluntarily given to Yahuah of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem, and all the silver and the gold that you find in all the province of Babel. Wow. Along with the gift of the people and the priests, voluntarily given for the house of their power in Jerusalem. Therefore, with this silver, promptly buy bulls, rams, lambs, with their grain offering and their drink offering, and offer them on the slaughter place of the house of your power in Jerusalem.
Hallelujah.
And whatever seems good to you and your brothers to do with the rest of the silver and the gold, do it according to the desire of your power. Now I want to see, some people may read this and say, well, Xerxes was a righteous man, wasn't he?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna let you say what you got at first, and then I'll add to it.
So when we read that Abiyah moved these kings,
Yeah.
you know, it's more than likely Abiyah used their soothsayers to do it. So if you're a soothsayer and you open to the spiritual realm, like Balaam was, then you know who the Most High is. And when the Most High speaks to you, although you've been speaking with your demons and your devils forever, when the Most High speaks to you, you owe, because that's the Almighty power. You know what I'm saying? And so he probably was using Darius soothsayers to say stuff like, if you do this, you'll be remembered in history forever.
And it is.
You'll become, you know what I'm saying, immortal. Your name will be immortalized. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. And that's why he was doing this, not because he was necessarily, you know, a righteous man.
I'm not gonna disagree with that, but and I'm gonna say, but in addition to that, what I was thinking as you're reading it is, don't tell me y'all can't use whoever you want to use.
Yep.
Don't tell me y'all can't use whoever he wants to use.
Yep.
Even in our captivity, we see repetitiously, Yah use people in the position of power.
Mhm.
When he want to bless Israel, he can bless Israel,
Yep.
right? That goes for then, that goes for now. Even in our captivity, there's 2 parts of Deuteronomy 28.
Mhm.
I know we like to focus on the other part to talk about the curses,
Yep.
but there's a blessings portion of Deuteronomy 28 too that says, if you follow my laws, then you will be blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed in your basket, blessed when you go in or when you go out, blessed when you come in.
Yep.
He didn't say that can't happen even in your captivity. Goshen was in our captivity,
Yes, it was.
right? And so as we in our captivity, I think that we are at a point now in our process of what Yah is doing,
Mhm.
that it is time to focus more on the righteous acts that we need to be involving ourselves in and trying to achieve the blessings.
Mhm.
I know the curses help with being able to,
Identification, I guess.
identification, hallelujah. The curses are beautiful, they help for identification, but we're striving for the blessings. Let's not use the curses as an excuse, Israel, to wallow in our filth or to not get up, get out and do something, as the song say. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if we following law, statutes, and commandments in spirit and in truth, Daniel was in captivity.
Yeah.
Joseph was in captivity.
We just read about this king who was a governor. I mean, he was doing that work.
That's
In the
right.
land of Persia, he was a governor
right.
in Persia.
That's right. That's
So
right.
he was like, who's the governor here in our place? You know what I'm saying? He was doing that job in Persia.
Yeah. So it is feasible and conceivable that if we're doing what we're supposed to do, y'all can still use us
Yeah.
and bless you even in your captivity. And when it's time for you to walk out, when he says it's time to go,
Yeah.
just like they did, you go. And he'll bless you even more when you get where you're going.
You should be able to provide for your family if you live in righteous. You know what I'm saying? If you
Oh,
live in
that's
righteous,
that's a whole nother can of worms.
you're willing to work. But even Paul told them, work. If you're gonna eat, work for your food. You gotta work. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like I'm on welfare in the land of my captivity because they owe me this. Man, you don't get your
Don't start me on men not providing for their family, man.
get
Because of the system or because of the curses. Because that was the old thing was because of the system. And then now once we find out Israel, it's because of the curses.
Yep.
I can't get no job. I can't work a legitimate job.
Yep.
So all I do is sell dope and live off of women because of the curses.
I admit, no lie.
You get no respect from me for that.
Somebody, one of them bros.
No, not one. It's a common thing.
They was able to live off women because since the system is helping the women, and it's the woman's job then to help the Hebrew male. So since you can get all the good jobs and you go get a good job, and I'll stay here and at the house and play PlayStation.
I have no respect for that.
You know, that's
I
what I
have
do.
absolutely zero respect for that.
Me too.
That's not a man according to scripture,
Yeah,
and therefore that's not a man according to me.
yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I'm not gonna go down that road right now. Maybe a short video on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick up in what are we in 22?
Okay. Up to the 100 talents of silver and up to 100 cores of wheat and up to 100 baths of wine and up to 100 baths of oil and salt without reckoning. Wow, let the salt rain, huh?
Let the salt rain. Let it rain.
Whatever is commanded by the power of heaven.
The salt that scripture say, is for the seasoning is also for every covenant. You can't have a covenant according to Torah without salt. So when it says you are the salt of the earth, if y'all trying to make a covenant with those that he didn't already make a covenant with, that means they got to have you, Israel.
We all know what salt do. Some of us got blood pressure proven. Salt
Season.
and flavor.
And flavor.
Salt bring the flavor out of
That's
anything.
Right. That's right. They don't leave me here with that bland chicken.
Freaking little
And then what that
salt.
Gentile say,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna let these African Americans leave and leave me here with this bland chicken.
Yes, man. Look, sprinkle some salt on it to add that flavor.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever is commanded by the power of heaven, let it be diligently done for the house of Yahuah of heaven. For why should there be wrath against the reign of the sovereign and his son?
Okay.
So let's show you his personality. Like why should be wrath against me and my kids?
Absolutely.
We further inform you that there is no authority to impose taxes, excise, or toll on any of the priests and Levites, singers, gatekeepers, Nethinims, the servants, and the servants of the house of Yahuah. So you talking about someone ain't gonna pay taxes. What I'm telling you is you can't even charge them taxes. Don't try.
It's not for them to pay taxes. Y'all put something on my heart. Yeah.
And you, Ezra, according to the wisdom of your power that is in your hand, appoint magistrates and judges to judge all the people who are beyond the river, all such as know the law of your power, and teach those who do not know.
Right.
That's a game changer. What he said, he putting them back in power,
That's
which
right.
what they feared was going to happen.
That's exactly what they fear was going to happen.
And whoever does not do the law of your power and the law of the sovereigns, let judgment be promptly executed on him, whether it be death or banishment or confiscation of goods or imprisonment.
Right.
Blessed be Yahuah, Elohim of your fathers, who has put this house in the sovereign's heart to establish the house of Yahuah, which is in Jerusalem, and has extended a loving commitment to me before the sovereign and his counselors, and before all the sovereign's mighty princes. So I was strengthened as the hand of Yahuah. My power
Look at that.
was upon me, and I gathered the heads from Jerusalem to go up with me.
Hallelujah. So this is a big deal.
Huge,
This is a big deal.
huge.
And here's the thing, right? So as they're going there to build this temple, even though we read about all these things being contributed by all these people and no tax being excised and all of that, Ezra, Nehemiah, Yahusha, the high priest, they still had an issue on their hands because they had been in captivity for so long that the law was foreign to them. Some of them didn't even speak the language fluently anymore. When they read the laws to them, and like I say, I skipped a lot of this because, you know, I don't know how long we've been recording so far, but it's been a minute. It would have been that much longer. When they were reading the law to them, and Ezra was trying to explain what they needed to do in order for Yah to be with them, first of all, they had to have translators. These are Israelites. They had to have translators. Secondly, you had Bruce breaking down in tears. They were breaking down in tears. And as they were breaking down in tears, they had to stop them and say, what are you doing? The fact that your heart is at enmity with this law, don't you understand this is the exact reason we were in captivity? This is the exact reason we were occupied. This is the exact reason we were scattered, torn apart, the 10 tribes and the 2 tribes. This is exactly what happened. The way your heart feels about us reading this law openly to the public right now is exactly why. Do not do this. They also got on them about intermingling. They made them get rid of their strange wives and children. And I know that's hard to hear. I understand that's hard to hear. But in order for them to start from square one and get this thing rooted accurately, they had to do that. They had to do that. It was not that those people couldn't have the truth. What it was is that Yah was establishing something that had to be pure, right, and exact, right? And they were trying to start that. Here's the thing. We read about all the gold and the silver and all that was given to them. It was not like the house that Shlomo built.
Yeah.
It was not like the house that Shlomo built. They were sending them, you were reading the extracurricular readings as well as some of these. The stuff that they were sending them for the temple was to help beautify the temple and stuff. This temple was modest. It was not like the house Shlomo built, okay? When Herod came on the scene and tried to rebuild the temple, technically the third temple, if we're just being honest, he built it, trying to build it to the esteem of its former, I'm gonna use the word glory, right? It was Herod who tried to rebuild it like that. This temple that was on the scene during the time that the Maccabees were in there, and the Zadokites and the keepers of the Qumran scrolls.
When the Greeks burned down.
This was a modest temple. It was not like what Shlomo had, right? I want to paint a clear picture for you guys. Although we read about that stuff, they had the silver, they had the gold, they had that stuff, and they had enough that when Antiochus Epiphanes came, they robbed it and pillaged it again. But it still wasn't like its former esteem. It just wasn't. Have a seat, please. There's a period that we've come to at this point where this temple that we're reading about is going to be in existence through Malachi. And there's going to be a leap that unless you read extracurricular materials, the only time you pick up is when Herod is on the scene. If you're not a student of the word, if you don't study to be a scholar, if you don't try to make yourself, you know, an authority in this, what we perceive to be our history, you just got a gap there. You don't even know what to do with. You have to go back and read Maccabees. You have to read the historical works of people like Josephus and what's the other one? I told you I wanted to get his book next with a P. Philo, Torah, Philo, as well as even some of the generals that came against Israel, because they had historical records of what they experienced when they came to do battle against Israel. These are historical accounts that if you see the same account across several people, is more than likely an accurate account, right? How they kept the Sabbaths. If everybody's saying they kept the Sabbaths the same way, they kept the Sabbath the same way, right? How they beat them, what they thought of them.
What they thought of the Most High.
What they thought of the Most High, even. Yeah. It is important if we're calling ourselves scholars of our own history and ambassadors for Yahuah and ambassadors for Yahusha, that we dig into this stuff.
And
right?
I bet you it was an Edomite that burned down the library at Alexandria.
The library of Alexandria was, and I'm not worried about all the rest of the stuff that was there, but it was, oh my goodness, it was magnificent.
Yes, it was.
The records of hours alone that were there.
Actually, that was the Edomite that did that.
Again, if you get an opportunity to read the letter of Aristeas, that's a really good read as well. So next week, and this is the reason I say that, next week we're going to be picking up with I'll be honest with you. As I've come to this point in my research, this portion of what happened between Malachi and Matthew, I'm still digging into, right? What I can show you is Yachanan and Messiah's relationship. We talked about who Yachanan is related to and why Yahusha dealt with him. We can get into the Zadokite thing, right? And so there's some stuff I'm not sure how I'm gonna share with y'all next week, but I want to start with,
Well, remember we said we was going to be studying scriptures too, so it's going to
yeah, so maybe not next week, but next time.
So like as stuff comes, you be like, okay, well,
Absolutely.
next time, Saturday.
That's less pressure. Yeah, I like that. So let me not say next week. Let me say next time. We're gonna look at Mark 13:1-2, where Messiah says, and as he went out, or where it says, as he went out of the set apart place, one of his taught ones said to him, "Teacher, see what stones and what buildings," talking about ruins of a temple, right? And Yahushua answered and said to him, "Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone shall be left upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down." There's a period of 160 years of corruption between Ezra and Yachanan in this priesthood. What we're presenting about this priesthood in its title, seeking a priesthood, is seeking a righteous priesthood. Why was Ezra singled out as a Zadokite? Why was Eli's lineage snuffed out for all intents and purposes, right? They were not a righteous priesthood. The Zadokites, and in the Qumran scriptures, Qumran scrolls, you read these terms, sons of light and sons of darkness. This is a serious thing to those who considered themselves taking up the mantle of righteousness. Ezra would have considered himself one of those taking up the mantle of righteousness, Nehemiah as well. Remember Nehemiah coming up to the Shabbat, telling the salesman that they couldn't come into the gates as the sun was going down. So what are you doing? You know better than this. I told you already. And if I have to tell you again, I'm putting hands on you.
I wonder if we can trace Nehemiah's lineage to like Benaiah or somebody.
It's possible. It's possible. These men were serious about keeping righteousness, right? And everything that co-aligned with righteousness, including, and I keep coming back to this, including a righteous calendar. Because their belief was a righteous calendar put them on schedule for a righteous fellowship. That Yahuah, Yahusha, and the set apart Malachim all worship in fellowship. We see the same idea in the book of Jubilees. They worship in fellowship at the same time. There are appointments to be kept. If you're on the wrong calendar, you are at the wrong appointment. You've missed your appointment. And so they were diligent about these things. And that's how we came across this whole story. Eleazar. That would be interesting. Okay.
They eventually married into,
Absolutely. Well, family, that's what I have for you guys this Shabbat. I pray that there was some edification. Hold up. Always a blessing to be able to be in front of you guys. Man, there's a lot of other places we could be.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of other things we could be. Y'all cannot be using us.
Stay the course, Israel.
Okay.
Stay the course.
Okay. Our prayer as we enter this new Hebrew calendar year was for, what's the word we used? Was for endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Endurance. I felt like y'all put it on our heart that this year he was going to be picking up the pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just talking about for me and my household. I'm putting more on you. I think you can handle it. But you need to prepare yourself. Gird your loins. Take care of your health. Get your diet in order. Get your mind right. I'm putting it on you. You can do it. And I feel like, and I'm just speaking for me and my household, I feel like if we was to shut that responsibility off, that we'd be paying for it.
Yeah.
We would be being punished for it.
We would be negligent.
And so I said, yeah, we could do it, but we need some help. I need some endurance. Toda, hallelujah. The mic is open. If you guys want to come to the mic, if you want to share, if you want to ask questions, share testimonies, it's all you. So next week, just to reiterate, family, we're going to be doing the study of scriptures on the Shabbat. On Saturday, thank you. Shabbat morning.
No, 12.
2, okay. 2 o'clock on the Shabbat. And then we'll alternate as needed. Koti Latasha?
Toda Imam.
Hold on.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Koti.
Shabbat
Anyone can hear me,
shalom.
please?
I just had one question because we're talking about the priesthood. Are we going to tie in the prophets that was also priests with, like, as far as like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Nehemiah, Malachi? Are we going to tie all of them in as well in between the 1600 years?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of going where y'all leave me at this point. I don't know. That's my honest answer, sis.
Okay. That's all I want to know.
That's a good question, though. Yeah. It's a very good question because I was asking myself at one point in the study whether or not each one of these prophets were actually priests. That's a good question. I'll let you know when I have an answer for you. Anybody
I don't want
else?
to add no more on to you. I don't want to add no more.
I don't know if I believe. I don't know if I believe it, but it's all good. Hallelujah. Anybody else? Don't be bad for y'all. Come on to the mic. Shalom, Koti, come on to the mic. Shabbat shalom.
Oh.
Janelle, Koti Janelle, it's your mic.
Hi. I already wanted to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, little one.
Say Shabbat Shalom. Shalom. Say
Hey.
Shabbat Shalom.
What's going on, big girl?
The girl, get your talk to the camera. No, I did have a question though. Earlier you mentioned a letter that should be read about 10 minutes ago.
It is called.
What was the name of the letter?
I'm typing in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay, now listen. Forgive my spelling right now. Aris, Areastas.
Let's go with that. Looks good to me.
The letter of Aristias. I think that's it. You know what? If anybody else wants to come to the mic, I'm gonna look it up real quick, and I'll post it. So Aristias, while I'm waiting, is he was in the employ of the individual that no, I don't know that. He was an employee of the individual that was putting together the Library of Alexandria. So
No, he was putting together his version of it. He was sitting over Egypt.
that was the Library of Alexandria they were working on. So what he was doing was he was the same thing. He was a curator for the library. He was a curator for the Library of Alexandria. I'm trying to spell pseudepigrapha. Give me a second. There's a lot of good stuff in here too. Total, you can just sit it right there. Appreciate it. You guys know the link that I usually share when we're reading extra biblical material. It's going to be that same link. Here we go. And so I'm going to share two links. First link is for any other book that you may want to read, because that's the main page there. Pseudepigrapha.pdf. Aristias, told out for that spelling. And then the second link is for that actual writing. There it is. The letter of Aristias. Bam, there you go. Go to Kimmy. Come on down. Shabbat shalom again.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Okay.
I have a quick question. We didn't get this far when we were reading in Ezra, but I had this question marked from when I was reading it.
Okay.
And you know, when they talk about like the Feast of Dedication, I know it's not one that was listed as a appointed time. given to Moses, but I do know that it is one that brews keep, right?
Absolutely.
So in chapter 6 and 16, when they talks about dedicating the temple. Now, if I remember, didn't when King Shlomo finished building, he dedicated it and it had like a real big thing, and he slaughtered like so many animals. It was a great thing. Was that the Feast of Dedication established then, or was it more so established during the time of Maccabees?
Okay, so when Shlomo dedicated the temple, that actually corresponds with tabernacles. So that was not at the same time that Bruce, who keep the Feast of Dedication, celebrate that. This dedication that you're talking about is co-aligned with the Maccabees dedication. Yes, if that makes sense. But let me look at this. What did you say, 6:16? Just so I can refresh my memory here. Ezra 6:16.
Right, Ezra chapter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, children of Israel, the priests and the Levites and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of this house of Yahuah with joy. Offered at the dedication of this house of Yahuah 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribe of Israel. And they set priests in their divisions and the Levites in their courses for the service of Yahuah, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. When it says in their courses, that just means in their months. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. For the priests and the Levites were purified together, all of them were pure. Okay, so no, this is definitely not tabernacles. I might have to do a little bit more research before I can give you a solid answer as far as whether or not that dedication lines up with as far as on the calendar, with the one that the Maccabees implemented, because my honest answer, sis, is I don't know. I know it's rare to hear people say that when they all know on the microphone in front of the camera, but I honestly don't know. So I will look into that though. I'm curious too, now that you brought it up.
But it was during a time of rebuilding the temple, right?
Yes, it was.
The Feast of Dedication on that time of rebuilding.
Both of them.
Rebuilding the temple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So which time, I guess, would be the question.
Yeah.
Which time?
Well, from my understanding, so let me lead with that. From my understanding, the Feast of Dedication that most brews celebrate now is dealing with this one, the Maccabees one. Okay.
The Feast of Lights.
The Feast of Lights, right? That's right. Purim, right?
Yeah. Even in the book of Maccabees, it tells you that that's when the Brews really started keeping it as a feast day.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, does that one co-align with this one?
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. And let me give you some more context to why I haven't looked into it more deeply. The feasts that are listed in Leviticus 23 were primary of importance to me. Not to say at all that these aren't good things to know about or even to celebrate, but if I'm trying to understand Yah and his plan for us and his plan of deliverance, and Yahusha says the roll of the book is written of me, then those that are in Leviticus have to correspond with Yahusha and with our plan of deliverance. And so my thought on that was, let me dig into these and understand these before I worry about understanding those more. So I am interested in digging into that a little bit more. I just haven't yet.
Yeah, I think one, like the Feast of Lights, that's more of like a tradition of men And so by the time Messiah came, not to say that that's that particular tradition he was speaking against, but one of the things he had a problem with, he was like, you forsake the law for your traditions.
You put more importance on that than
Then
the ones you
law,
should have put
right,
importance on.
right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whereas the feast that Abiyah gave us, they directly line up with the stages of the Messiah's walk, his life, his mission.
Yeah.
And
with our own as well.
Right.
As
What
the
he gonna
Bible.
do when he returned. They tell
Yeah.
a story. The Feast of Lights, it's more of a tradition. It's something that the Brews started doing. That I don't know. Maybe Father Yah said, I'll allow it, or
We'll allow it.
We'll.
But it's about an earthly thing.
Yeah.
It's about a physical thing. I don't want to go as far as to say carnal, but it is about an earthly temple as opposed to who he ultimately said he wanted to be his temple. Because Yahuah said himself, where's the temple built with your hands that I dwell in? Right? So no, but it's still a very good question, and I'm gonna dig into that. But sis, if you find an answer before I do, let me know. Please. Nicole Natasha, you're just gonna sit up here and eat that right in front of me, just like that. Huh? Just like that.
Oh no, I was gonna say with Koti Kimi, and even in Maccabees, after they did the Feast of Dedication, they didn't call it the Feast of Dedication, they rededicated the temple, and then they had tabernacle because they couldn't celebrate the feast. And during that time in the Maccabees, they did like a second tabernacle because they wasn't allowed to do tabernacle during that time, and they was fighting and stuff. So after they rededicated the temple, like you said with Shlomo, it was tabernacle time. So the Maccabees had tabernacle afterwards. So it really wasn't like the Feast of Dedication how the Brews do today. They dedicated the temple, and then they did Sukkot afterwards for the 7 days. If you read,
you talking about during the Maccabean era?
Yes. When
So
she's talking about the Feast of Dedication, because that's what they talk about. She's talking about the Feast of Dedication, and they rededicated the temple. But after they rededicated the temple, they had tabernacle.
You talking
right
about during the Maccabean era, though? Not during Shlomo.
Yes.
Right. Oh, okay.
No, not during Shlomo area. Not during Shlomo time. During the Maccabean area, they did the dedication, and then they had the tabernacle the 7 days afterwards because they wasn't allowed to, and it was during that time that they was rededicating the temple.
That's interesting. Where did you read that, sis? Share that, please.
That's in Maccabees.
That is in Maccabees? Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and read that again.
It's in Maccabees.
Yeah, it's in Maccabees. We were just reading it the other day. That's how it's fresh on our mind.
It's fresh on our mind. Gotcha. That's cheating.
When she just said that, I'm like, because like you said, Shlomo did it during the tabernacle time, and they did it during the tabernacle time too. But they just came and they fought and they got the temple and everything back.
Hallelujah.
So after they rededicated, so the Brews today, they celebrated all wrong. It actually was during the tabernacle time, but it was after tabernacle, and they celebrated tabernacle for the 7 days.
Gotcha.
Yes, and we just read that. We was reading because we were reading, trying to find out everything Alexander the Great took, and it's labeled in Maccabees. So we were reading that actually, and then we stumbled up on that, and Tasha was like, "Wait a minute, this is oh yeah."
Yeah, so they celebrating the Feast of Dedication all wrong because it's actually tabernacle for the Maccabees. That was their tabernacle during that time. They rededicated the temple, then they had tabernacle for 7 days.
That's why it takes multiple people to bring a full and complete picture, right? Because you just gave me something, and we read Maccabees more than once, I want to say, and I didn't remember that. Hallelujah. I told off that.
That never stood out. So what is the Brews doing today?
I don't know, because I've never done a feast of dedication.
I know it like coincides with like Christmas, don't it? Because they like give presents and stuff, don't it? Is it like right before Christmas or right after Christmas?
Is that?
I think it is during that time, during the Christmas season is when
Yeah,
when Bruce celebrate the
Oh,
feast of
Hanukkah. Oh,
dedication.
Hanukkah, you're right.
well, not,
The,
well, I
the
don't,
12 days of Hanukkah.
Right, so they like.
With the gift giving
And
and
it's not
whatnot.
even supposed to be, yeah, it's not even supposed to be 12 days. And they, like she said, with the lights, they lit the lights in the temple to let everybody know if you were still like they were still out in the wilderness doing tabernacle. It wasn't the lights wasn't actually being lit in the temple. They was lighting the lights out in the wilderness for people to know that they were still honoring the feast, the
You see how
actual
the
feast
adversary
that the
works?
Most High has given us.
Wow.
To co-align
Yeah, so
Hanukkah
it wasn't.
with Christmas, where they put the lights in the window to welcome in the stag god and all that.
So basically, they got the rules keeping Christmas.
Oh.
We've been.
We're gonna have to
bamboozled.
read that. We're gonna have to read that, y'all. We're
Yeah.
gonna do a Zoom and reread
Yeah,
that.
That's the subject. That's
yeah, because that's what it said. Then they said, and then they had the second tabernacle because they wasn't allowed to celebrate tabernacle during the time that it was in the 7th month. They celebrated it afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why they do feast of dedication in, I guess, in the December month
Do
because
me a
it
favor.
actually say the month is when they celebrate it.
Do me a favor, sis. Post the if you don't mind and if you can, post the chapter and verse of Maccabees where y'all read that. For those of us that want to go back and reread. Hallelujah. Good question asked. Good question answered.
Yeah, that is something else.
That is really insightful.
That is something else.
Very, very insightful. Anybody else want to come? Don't be ashamed now. You see what kind of good stuff come out when y'all come on up to the mic. Let me know, because my wife just sat here and smashed and
It was so good.
sandwich and chips in front of me that looked so
It
good.
was so good. That's why I like when I ain't on camera. I could eat. I ate grapes and ate a whole lot of stuff sitting here. Each time he was looking too like. It's something.
Sitting here starving.
Oh.
It's not right. Anybody else want to come to the mic? That is wrong. Okay, family. Well, if not, I want to thank
I
you.
do. I got one more question.
Okay, go for it. Gotcha.
I got one more question for y'all. So when I get ready to read the epigrapher, because I want to finish the standard 66 first,
Okay.
what order do I need to read them in?
Pseudepigrapher?
Read the Apocrypha first. So,
I think that's a good idea to read the Apocrypha first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Does it start with like Titus or Tobit? Is it Tobit? Start with Tobit.
Go. I'm laughing at a Coty Leslie. She called you Latasha 2.0.
Oh, my
You slid in there with that last minute question before we close out. So the Apocrypha was part of the original 1611 KJV. So the very first publication of the KJV would have included the Apocrypha. And so I definitely think that's a good place to start. I agree with Rib on that. And then once you read the Apocrypha, which will include Maccabees, then I would say pseudepigrapha would be a good next step. Yeah. Yeah. Also keep in mind that the Apocrypha includes Maccabees 1 and 2, I believe. But you can go online and find Maccabees 3, 4, and 5 also. And I kept reading. I was like, oh, there's more. Let me see what that says. And then for the pseudepigrapha, can somebody have my pseudepigrapha, please? You can find it online.
Is it right there?
I doubt it, unless somebody taped it. Can somebody have my pseudepigrapha, please? For the pseudepigrapha, you can find it online. And I'm not gonna try to count your pockets. Oh, the Sefer has them all? Okay, hold on. I was given a copy of the Apocrypha and the pseudepigrapha that I absolutely
That's
love.
one part of it. That's the one that
Yes.
he kept up.
And so this is volume 2, and I apologize, it doesn't have a cover on it anymore. Well, this is volume 2 of the pseudepigrapha. See how thick that is? The reason it is that thick is because I'm a nerd about this type of stuff. So here's Jubilees, right? Before I start Jubilees, which starts here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of introduction that goes into the history of the book, the history of the writers, the history of the translations. And then it also goes into different translations, and it gives you a side-by-side comparison to see where translations vary and differ. I love that kind of stuff because I want to know which one was first. And in my mind, I'm trying to figure out why it was translated this way here and translated that way there. Some of it sticks arbitrarily, and it comes up when I read another stuff. And my mind pulls that information.
Yeah, that's how that stuff in my mind, pull the information.
Yeah.
It come back up when it's needed.
It come back up when it's needed. So listen, y'all, the internet can be shut down at any time, and you won't have access to the book. So if you can afford it, like I said, I'm not trying to count nobody's pockets, but if you can afford it, buy the book.
Yeah, build up your library.
And what a very good friend of mine told me back in the day is, the older, the better. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. But whatever it's worth, my 2 cents. Anybody else? Natasha 1.0, the first edition.
I was going to say it's in Second Maccabees.
Second Maccabees, okay. No, so you got
Second Maccabees.
Or just started Second Maccabees?
It was chapter 1. We read through the whole Second Maccabees, but it started in chapter 1, and it's in verse 9 says, by Kimmy, verse 9 says where it says, and keep the feast, like he says, and keep the feast of tabernacle, and like they named the month Celsius, but it's saying like after the dedication, that was the month of December or something like that for here.
I got you.
So that's why, and then he talked about Jeremiah. They talk about Jeremiah in the ark and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if we go back to Second Maccabees, we'll get it. Just read all Second Maccabees.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? She was on strike? You was on strike, sis? Say, tell you come to the mic too much, huh?
Yes.
All right, family. Well, I really appreciate that. Again, very good question. I appreciate the assists on Maccabees.
Hey, that's taught us something today, because I didn't know Bruce out there keeping Christmas.
Keeping Christmas. That's gonna be a good review. We're gonna go over that. We might look into that now. We'll see.
That's something else right there.
All right, family, Tola. Ahava, love to everybody, and we will see you guys, y'all willing, next Shabbat.
2 o'clock, y'all.
2 o'clock.
Next Saturday.
Not Friday night, y'all. Spread the word.
Yes. Shabbat shalom, Zion.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom. Have a blessed week.
Blessed to be stressed. Nevertheless, I must confess. Yes, this is Project Wake Up Jacob. On the Sabbath we rest and reflect upon his goodness. Because we are guided by the Ruach Kodesh. Yes, whenever I get dressed, yes, I'm dripping Kodesh fresh. Yes.